century, any time in history that has a huge impact on this music?
So, historically, biblically, playing the lap steel, really playing any stringed instruments, because of the vibration.
Aren't you? Oh,
because of the
turn the camera.
because of the vibration and the resonance of it, it literally moves within the inner man of the person. And scripturally, string instruments are mentioned to be one of those instruments played in heaven. Also, spiritually, David played the harp, which is a string instrument, and it moved the evil spirit off of King Saul. Fast forward into modern history, it has been scientifically proven that stringed instruments literally move the spirit of the man. So for me, all of the history collectively is what sticks out. It's what really influences my playing. I've been playing for 22 years. It influences my playing. And when you understand how powerful music is, and that music literally is a language without words, you begin to appreciate all styles of music, especially when it gets into folk music, and how it's able to non-verbally communicate linguistically a story that everybody can resonate with. And resonation goes back to the resonance of the strings. The strings hold the vibration of the tone. The story is held in the heart of the hearer by the tonality of the storyteller. So if I'm telling the story right, if I can tell the story and express my emotion verbally, and I can now transliterate that to the guitar, I've done my job as leaving a lasting impression that will go through generations and generations and generations, like folk music has done, especially in the string instrument.
Very cool, very cool. We have many questions for you, but to backtrack really quick for the records, here we are with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program, which is a copy of the release that you signed. It's double. Yeah. There it is. Our information and the QR codes are on the back, just for your records. So yes, as the formal intro, today is May 24th, Saturday.
Yeah.
We are here with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program. My name is Krystin Anderson, and if you could say your name and where you are born and raised.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Grimes. I was born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts, but I now lived and have lived for the past 16 years in Middletown, Connecticut. Yeah.
Okay, got you. So if I could ask you about that a little bit, most of the practitioners that we think of this type of music come from the South. So how would you say your experience has been, approaching this music outside of that context?
So history travels through storytelling and through experience, right? So like everything else has traveled from the South to the North, so has music for me. My experience, sometimes it's a little harder to come by those who are, or who can be directly influential to it, because it is foundationally found in the southern states, but there's always an avenue to take. And with today's modern technology, my experience has grown, especially within the last 10 years, to be able to find expressions that speak directly to the type of music that we make here in Sacred Steel.
Very cool. So you said you're 20 plus years
Yes,
of
ma'am.
playing. How did you start? Can you tell us that?
So my granddaddy plays many instruments, and I was watching a video, old VHS from 1987 of a man by the name of Deacon Henry Nelson, one of the fathers of Sacred Steel for us here. And I took my granddaddy's lap steel guitar out, and I did my best to emulate it. At that time, it was absolutely horrible, but I did my best to emulate it. My grandfather heard what I was doing, and he heard that I had a hand for it and an ear for it. So he cultivated it and gave me that guitar, and the rest is history. Here I am 22 years later.
That's awesome. Awesome. So how did you get connected with this family and this movement in Florida?
Particularly, the steel guitar is the leading instrument in our church. So my family grew up in this particular church organization. They
Share which church?
the House of God Church. This is the steel guitar to us is the instrument that leads the musicians. It is to us what the organ is to many other Protestant denominations. I came back to the organization in 2008, having already been playing, because my roots are here. So, and having the history with my grandfather and the late Deacon Nelson being very good friends, my mother growing up with the people like, we call them the living legends, Chuck Campbell and just the late Lonnie Bennett. I actually now play in the church that Lonnie Bennett's father started and where Lonnie Bennett was born and raised. So yeah, it connects you to everything. And because it's a language, because it has an ability to communicate, when you hear the sacred steel sound and people who play recognize it, it's almost like an automatic draw. You're just kind of sucked in and pulled in, and then you become this open book ready to be filled. It's a book of empty pages waiting for someone with wisdom to write on. Proctor, right?
Have you found any like resistance, or this is very different from the everyday contemporary music. So how have you found people kind of brushing their shoulders against it?
So when it's not understood, as with anything, there's opposition. Wherever there's opposition, it always means that there's growth beyond that, right? So where there's opposition, I don't abrasively make my way through it. I very candidly show them how to appreciate it in its proper position, so to speak. The steel guitar for us, or period, is an instrument that demands center stage, okay? It's an instrument because of its versatility and its ability to emulate the singing voice. It draws people in, as so does the organ. So when you learn to appreciate each instrument in its proper place within the band. So when there's resistance, and I see the resistance, or maybe there's a person in the audience or the congregation that may not be appealed to it, you take a softer approach and you draw them in by telling the story. And most times telling the story is playing an old hymnal that talks to their past and helps them celebrate where they are now.
Okay. So one last question for you. So you mentioned, and a few people have mentioned, coming to this music organically by an elder showing you. How do you think it might pass on to the next generation outside of a direct person who knows you?
As with anything, this cannot die by a closed mouth. So what am I saying? It has to be continually spoken. Words that have been spoken generations ago are still being repeated. Because words are not just written, they're living, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning. My God, today. Sorry. If in the beginning it took a word, in the end it's going to take a word. And in the middle, that word travels in both directions. So it can't end with a closed mouth. For from generation to generation, it'll be reverberated through how I communicate the story from my mouth to your ears.
Okay. So before we get out of here, if you could just look at the camera camera and say what the Florida Folk Festival means to you.
Sure, absolutely. To me, the Florida Folk Festival is a time and a period where multicultural people come together. We experience and celebrate the many different genres of music that speak not only to the moving of the spirit, but also to the essence of the soul, where our character, where our hope, and where our smile lies.
Thank you so much.
Good?
Appreciate it. Yes.